So your 20s are supposed to be some of the best years of your life. You're young, free, you can do anything and the possibilities are endless. So why does it feel like you're constantly broke, confused, and somehow behind? Nobody really explains your 20s properly. Everyone says to enjoy them, but enjoy what exactly? I'm in my 30s, so there's plenty of things that were different about my 20s back in the 2010s. Even back then, it felt like nobody could get ahead. We had just gotten out of a global financial crisis.
Jacked! I'm jacked to the tits!
Now, on the positive side, we were able to party rock every day, while not having to worry about AI replacing our jobs, leading to a future that'll have some sort of Hunger Games. Before your 20s, everything is structured. Then suddenly, that structure disappears. And now your parents are telling you to go figure it out. Make sure you send out a ton of resumes that will be analyzed by AI, only to get ghosted by a job that never actually existed to begin with. Also, don't forget to buy a home, or you'll be shamed at every holiday event until you buy one. You think people in their 20s have it figured out. They don't. They just look like they do. You'll meet people who seem successful. They have nice clothes on. They say, oh, I'm actually working on my own time, because when you really think about it, corporate jobs are the ones that are the pyramid scheme. Also, would you happen to be free at 6 p.m. this afternoon? I have a super awesome opportunity if you're interested. What's it about? Don't worry, it's a super interesting opportunity that you definitely won't regret going to. And also, don't worry about the drive, I'll pick you up, so that way you won't have any ability to leave this godforsaken MLM presentation that will be a couple hours long. Man, if only there was a way to warn your future self in advance. So some people will be confident with their new Beamer or Hellcat they just got done financing at 18%. Sure, they get a lot of attention, especially from the people that film them at intersections. But that depreciating asset will only take about a year or two for that person to understand the awful 96-month decision they made. I'm not joking, 96-month car loans are actually a thing. I didn't even know it was until I looked it up. It's likely because the car market is so expensive, along with everything else. That's almost as bad of an idea as a 50-year mortgage. They also seemingly take nonstop trips across the globe for weeks at a time. I'm sure you've seen that friend on the gram while you're stuck celebrating your pizza party at work. Now, some people may actually have the means to afford this, but they're few and far between. There's actually a good chance that anybody you see doing this in their early to mid 20s are in a serious amount of credit card debt to make that happen. There's actually a ton of videos of people out there financing their vacations on credit cards. It's a system that'll have people asking ChatGPT if it's normal to feel behind at 25. And that hits hard because no matter where you are in life, there's a good chance that you will feel behind. You see someone buying a house, getting married, making over 6 figures, having kids, and you can't help think to yourself about how you just made the executive decision to stop buying Starbucks so you can afford a down payment on a house, because that should fix the problem, right?
That should fix the problem, right?
The main problem is you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Nobody explains how weird money feels in your 20s. You're trying to figure out rent, savings, groceries, while trying not to end up in one of those Dave Ramsey videos for everyone else to point and laugh at.
Just over $1 million.
You're kidding me.
And no, sir.
What were you thinking?
And
Your bank account in your 20s essentially has 2 modes. Okay, we're fine, or
But the way my bank account is set up, the thing is, I got a checking in the savings, but all the money is in my savings.
there really isn't much of an in-between. The worst part is, you start realizing making money and keeping money are 2 completely different skills. It's hard to believe, but I've known people in my 20s making over 6 figures before the pandemic that were living paycheck to paycheck, scraping by just to keep up with the Jones. Okay, your friendships will also change, and this one sneaks up on you. In your early years, friendships are easy. You see each other all the time, and they're structured around school, summer break, and sometimes you even work together. Then, slowly but surely, life starts happening. People move, get busy, have kids, sometimes all at once, and they change priorities. And then suddenly, the group chat starts to get less and less traffic, and then it eventually goes quiet. I guess all good things eventually come to an end. Friendships don't suddenly end. They just kind of fade. And no one prepares you for that. People say, you have all the freedom in your 20s. Yeah, maybe technically. But realistically, you're balancing so many things. The pressure of work and making sure you're in the correct industry for your financial future, the long hours associated with being an exceptional employee to make sure you're in line for a promotion, or just to make sure you're not on the chopping block if layoffs ever come around. You're also potentially making one of the most, if not the most important decision of your life. And that's the person you end up marrying and having children with if you want them. You might think I'm exaggerating, but I've seen this tear people down or build them up firsthand. If you take anything from this video, it's to not rush this step. You're also trying to improve your life while navigating all of this, which sounds nice in theory until you realize improving your life is basically a second unpaid job. You're trying to fix your habits, your sleep, diet, finances, your discipline, like you're some broken startup trying to turn things around before the next round of funding. At some point in your 20s, you start to realize that no one is coming to save you. It's just you buying a water bottle the size of a fire extinguisher, acting like hydration is about to change your bloodline. So at this point, you're always saying things like, I need to get back to the gym, I need to eat cleaner, I need to lock in, and you mean it every single time. You're sincere. But the problem is you're trying to rebuild your life while your current life is actively attacking you. You start making these little dramatic promises to yourself like starting Monday, everything changes. Monday gets there and by 2:15 you're stressed out, eating something wrapped in paper and telling yourself, this is actually not that bad. Your 20s are a long series of negotiations with yourself. At some point, self-improvement starts sounding less like growth and more like a hostage negotiation. And nobody tells you how exhausting it is to constantly feel like you should be doing better. You're not just living your life, you're auditing it. Every decision feels like it has a podcast attached to it. Suddenly, you can't just eat lunch. You have to ask if it's helping you become your best self. You can't just relax because there's a voice in your head saying, shouldn't we be optimizing right now? Now, this is where things shift because at some point you start having full-blown identity problems. You start asking yourself, what am I doing with my life? And why did this question hit me while I was standing in line in Target? Your 20s come with random existential drive-bys every once in a while. You'll just be doing something completely normal like driving home, folding laundry, and then suddenly your brain kicks the door open like it's serving a warrant. Hey, quick question, is this your dream? Are we fulfilled? Is this the path? And also, what happened to us? And now you're just standing there holding a shirt, looking like you just received some terrible medical news from some clothing. Because you start realizing that just because something's normal doesn't mean it's right for you. A lot of people are living on autopilot, and society keeps handing out the same script. Like it's a legally binding, get the job, keep climbing, stay busy, don't ask too many questions. But the one day you look at your life and think, wait, do I actually want this or have I just been accepting assignments? Your 20s are the first time you realize you can do everything right and still feel completely wrong. And that's a scary moment because now you don't just need answers, you need your own answers. And that's way more uncomfortable because asking what do I want sounds empowering in a quote, but in reality can be one of the most difficult questions to answer. Here's the part that nobody says clearly enough. You're not behind. You're just early in the process. And even if you are actually behind compared to most people, that's okay. It's a process and eventually you'll get there. Everyone you're comparing yourself to, they're just at a different stage. And the truth is, your 20s aren't about having it figured out. They're about trying new things you're not too sure about and realizing that the only way to figure out what works is to actually do something. Taking chances that might not make sense to anyone else. They're also for failing and messing up things way more than you expected, making decisions that don't work out, and slowly understanding that failure isn't a sign that you're behind. It's a sign that you're actually trying to begin with. And lastly, adjusting or changing direction when it feels needed. Letting go of plans you thought you had figured out and learning over time how to build a life that actually fits you. That is the whole point. Your 20s are messy on purpose. They're not supposed to feel perfect. They're supposed to feel uncertain because that's where the change happens. And that's where it shifts. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. It actually is my first video on this channel, so if you could hit a like and a subscribe, I really would appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.